What's going on, everyone? Welcome into unfortunately, a surprise Cobra Cast. Horrible news that we have to cover, and I know a lot of channels are already covering it. We talked about it a little bit on Geeks and Gamers Daily, but evil has happened in Minnesota, a blue area, of course, because this is what Democrats love. Democrats love violence. They don't like Christianity. And they certainly don't like healthy children, that's for sure. So I'm going to try to not say all the shit that I want to say right now. We'll just listen to some clips because my opinions can probably get me in a lot of trouble. But there's so much I want to fucking say right now. But let's just listen to this clip right here from the police chief.
Police officers from the Minneapolis Police Department immediately responded, entered the church, and attempted to provide first aid and rescue some of the children that were hiding throughout the building, while other first responders came and EMS responded to rush victims to nearby hospitals. 2 young children, ages 8 and 10, were killed where they sat in the pews. Their parents have been notified. 17 other people were injured, 14 of them being children. 2 of those children are in critical condition. The coward who fired these shots ultimately took his own life in the rear of the church.
The trans coward, just wanted to add that.
Our hearts are broken for the families who have lost their children, for these young lives that are now fighting to recover, and for our entire community that has been so deeply traumatized by this senseless attack. We will stand together to protect our children, our schools, and our houses of worship.
You want to protect your schools? Why don't you put a good guy with a gun standing out front of your schools and your churches right now in your blue area? Why don't you put a good guy with a gun and see how many freaks try to step up there? Find a former member of the military, find a former police officer, find someone that's been trained, put a good guy with a gun standing there saying, fuck around and find out, and see how many times this shit happens. We have plenty of veterans out there that need work. Put a good guy with a gun standing in front of every church and every school and find out how many times this shit happens.
This deliberate act of violence is just a sign of cruelty that is beyond comprehension. Our hearts are broken for everyone that's been affected by this tragedy. As we begin the difficult path of healing, I want the community to know this, that even in the face of such evil, the Minneapolis Police Department and all of our law enforcement partners stand with our community. We stand with these families and with this parish. We will continue to be here for you.
So there's a direct update from the police chief. Now, here's what we know based on the information that I am seeing. And again, with, social media, it's hard to kind of figure out what's all legit and everything. So, okay. So here we have it confirmed. Robin Westman, previously Robert Westman, the Minneapolis Catholic school shooter, was a man who identified as a woman. Now that has been confirmed. This was a man that identified as a woman. So this is a person that's had a mental illness. His name was Robert Westman until 2020 when he changed his name to Robin Westman. Okay? Now, other information that we're starting to get right here. The suspect in the Minneapolis, Minnesota shooting at the Catholic school and church has been identified as Robin Westman, who posted a manifesto on social media just 2 hours ago, including a video showing the words, you see that right there? Boom, written on a gun. And there it is right there. It's almost like It's almost like leftism is a disease. It's almost like leftism is an absolute disease. I'm having to choose my words carefully right now, because there's a lot I want to say. The Minnesota Catholic shooter has been identified as Robin Westman, yet another trans shooter going after children at a Catholic school. When are we finally going to admit that trans violence is a massive problem? Ryan Miller says, I give huge credit to Fox News for covering this story, but the media will brush this under the rug, and these demonic freaks need to be brought to justice. I am so fucking mad right now. 2 children, 8 and 10, are dead, and there's a lot more that were injured. I don't know the specifics, but it gets worse. Because the most cringe mayor in the entire country, we've already seen this clown kneeling and crying for George Floyd. We've seen this idiot get shamed by the black community that he was so passionately pandering to. We've seen him dancing like a gay man, I'll just say. And now Jacob Fry says this right here.
Those families are suffering immense pain right now. Think of this as if it were your own. Every one of us needs to be wrapping our arms around these families, giving them every ounce that we can muster. These were Minneapolis families. These were American families. And the amount of pain that they are suffering right now is extraordinary. And don't just say this is about thoughts and prayers right now. These kids were literally praying. It was the first week of school. They were in a church.
Hey, Jacob, thanks for admitting exactly why they were targeted by this trans person. Thanks for admitting it. They were in a church and they were praying, and they were targeted because they were in a church and they were praying. That's why they were targeted. Go ahead and say it again, even though that's not what you're trying to say. You're trying to virtue signal right now. Go ahead and call it for what it is, you piece of shit.
Thoughts and prayers right now. These kids were literally praying. It was the first week of school. They were in a church. These are kids that should be learning with their friends. They should be playing on the playground. They should be able to go to school or church in peace without the fear or risk of violence, and their parents should have the same kind of assurance.
They should. So why are you always pandering to mentally ill people? Why are you always trying to pander to these people and say they need to be accepted? We need to allow men in women's restrooms. Get the fuck out of here. Democrats, you're going to continue to destroy any chance you had at relevancy by your own actions. I mean, you've already done it in a lot of ways. But I am so fucking mad right now.
These are the sort of basic assurances that every family should have every step of the day, regardless of where they are in our country.
Anyway, if you're just tuning in, Minnesota, children were attacked by an evil demon. That's what happened. A demonic, mentally ill psychopath has attacked children in a place of worship. That is what's happened. That's exactly what's happened. And I know that it was meant to be, I know that it was perceived as a comedy bit, but the brilliance of Alex Stein is that he's actually using comedy to call out the truth. And this is what Alex Stein did just a few weeks ago right here.
You know, I actually like transgenders in the military too, because first of all, transgenders are some of the meanest people on planet Earth. So they'd make a good soldier, don't you think? And then, you know, second of all, transgenders love to do mass shootings. So, you know, that's perfect for a military veteran. And then on top of that, the suicide rate is incredibly high among transgender people. So we could just use them like the Taliban has suicide bombers. Maybe you guys can actually, you know, if you commit suicide, actually help us in the battlefield. So that would be good. So I think we need transgenders in the military and women's sports. Now, when we, you know,
and look, I know, I'm I'm flying pretty close to the sun right now on YouTube, but look, I'm fucking furious, dude. Children were targeted today. 2 children are dead, and dozens more are going to be traumatized for the rest of their lives. If you're not pissed, you're not human at this point in time. That's the bottom line. If you're not furious right now, you're not human. This is absolutely disgusting. Witness gives more details on the shooting in Minnesota.
On the left side, and so he was on the left side, so there must have been sporadic gunfire going on. He said it looked like just a normal Sunday mass, so it was full, of people and children. So,
and how did he get out?
He just ran, when the fire, he said it seemed like it went on for eternity, but when it stopped, he ran out of the building.
When did you first hear about this?
So we live about 2 blocks from here. I was on a call. All the windows of our home were open. I know what gunfire sounds like, and I could tell. I was shocked. I said, "There's no way that could be gunfire." There was so much of it. So it was sporadic. So it was a semi-automatic. It seemed like a rifle.
A lot of gunfire there, according to that witness. Let's go now to
so. I talk about this all the time because obviously in Orlando down here, and anytime I spend a lot of time at either City Walk, Universal Studios, or Disney Springs, and the reason is because they have security there. So everybody that enters that area has to go through a security checkpoint, metal detectors, all of that. There's so many crazy people in the world. Why doesn't every church and school deserve armed security? Why? We have the money. We waste it on all of this other bullshit. Why don't, especially every school, why doesn't every fucking school have an armed security guard? Why? Explain that to me. Every fucking school in the United States of America should have an armed security guard, former military, former police officer, someone that is trained. There's plenty of veterans out there that could use the work. And we could absolutely do it. And do you know how many school shootings there would be if it was known that every school had armed security? I mean, it's insane. So it drives me crazy, man. Kids deserve to be protected. Kids don't deserve to grow up traumatized because a mentally ill freak that Hollywood and the mainstream media have pushed this ideology out there, and the Democrats have pushed this ideology out there and made you believe that if you're suffering from mental illness, you should embrace your mental illness. Be proud of who you are. No, get some fucking help if you have a mental illness. Get some fucking help. When you're a child and you're growing up, your imagination runs wild. These Democrats are teaching people to embrace things at a very young age, telling them this is who you are. This is who you're meant to be. Don't let society tell you different. It's demonic. It's absolutely demonic. So if you're just tuning in, some of the updates that we have right here, confirmed. Robin Westman, previously Robert Westman, the Minneapolis Catholic shooter, was a man who identified as a woman. He began identifying as trans as a minor, and his parents signed off on it per court records. His name was Robert until 2020 when he changed his name to Robin. Sick and disgusting, dude. Crazy stuff. Now, there's man, I don't know. There's manifestos that are online right now. Fuck it, I'm playing it. This is the manifesto apparently right here. Allegedly. This is crazy, dude. This is why I'm glad I live in the state of Florida, because there's so many crazy people out there. You know, like I make sure that I protect, you know, myself and my family. But you just, dude, you can't reason with this type of stuff, man. You can't do it. One of these clips actually says, you know what about Donald Trump? So just going to scroll through it right here. More of the things, because I will probably get hit for this, but I wanted you guys to see it. This is crazy, dude. One of them says it. I'm trying to find the one. He's just going through everything. Right there. It says, you see it right there. You know what to Donald Trump? Where did this fucker get the money for that equipment? Yeah, that's a good question. It's a damn good question. Good Lord, man. Absolutely insane. So right here, this is Breaking 911 talking about it. Wow. Unreal. Let me see if I can go to a is you guys said Fox News is actually talking about this? Let me see if Fox News is actually talking about this. If I can find it. I got to pull it up. Give me just a second. Thank you, Thomas, for the 10. I appreciate it. I'll get to the super chats here in just a minute. Let's see. I don't see them talking about it right now.
Police Chief Troy Weisler said that that Singh clearly communicated with the officer, so no English test would have been applied under the federal rules. In a statement, Weisler said, quote, the U.S. Department of Transportation make clear that ELP assessments are only required when there is a challenge in.
Okay, well, that's another story that well, hang on. This is that illegal.
That the accident could have been prevented if New Mexico enforced the new English proficiency standard during that July 3rd traffic stop.
Whoa, I did not know this.
3 states have been unwilling to comply and work with us.
So from what I understand, New Mexico, I'm sorry, this is a completely different story, but so this illegal immigrant that killed 3 people in the state of Florida with that U-turn on the Florida Turnpike, a road that I drive on all the time. I didn't know this new information, though.
And their officer, take a look.
Would you like to go to court, or would you like to just pay the fine? Pay the fine. Okay. I feel bad being the first guy to write you a ticket, but you know, I try to help you out.
My no license in the.
Why the fuck are you apologizing to this guy? Why? I've never had a cop be that nice to me, apologizing for writing me a fucking ticket or pulling me over. Are you fucking kidding me right now?
Ticket.
What's that?
They send the ticket in the no my credit.
I'm sorry, I guess I don't understand.
Maybe in that this my ticket and my license.
Yeah.
Here, or how many years?
I think
Police Chief Troy Weisler said that that Singh clearly communicated with the officer, so no English test would have been applied under the federal rules. In a statement, Weisler said, quote, "The U.S. Department of Transportation make clear that ELP assessments are only required when there is a challenge in communication." Now, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy has argued that the accident could have been prevented if New Mexico enforced the new English proficiency standard during that July 3rd traffic stop with Harjinder Singh.
3 states have been unwilling to comply and work with us: Washington, California, and New Mexico. And so what we've now told them, said, listen, you don't comply, we're going to give you 30 days. We're going to pull back some of your federal money that we give you.
Now, in that statement, New Mexico officials say that they were left without clear direction as new federal rules took effect this June. They say general rules were issued, but no standardized testing procedures was provided. Now, in response, Weisler says that the state developed its own process to comply with federal requirements, and that New Mexico police chief says that the state will begin giving that English language proficiency test starting September 1st, but also says that they will work closely with federal partners to make sure that they meet any of those requirements. Jackie.
All right.
That's insane, man. I wasn't prepared to be on that story. I was seeing if they were talking about Minnesota. Right here. Here they go. Oh, they're probably going to a commercial.
Most of our clients come to
they think it'll be too expensive.
So as soon as they cut back, we'll see what the latest update is. But if you're just tuning in, absolute nightmare in Minnesota. A evil, demonic, mentally ill fucking weirdo has decided to go into a church and open fire on children, killing 2 of them and injuring more than a dozen others. This person is it goes by the name of Robin Westman, but was previously known as Robert Westman before changing his name. This is insane. This person has a manifesto with a lot of very, very disturbing imagery and disturbing things written on the guns and the clips. So it's horrible right now. And the mainstream media will more than likely bury this story very soon. This is the face of evil right here. If you're interested to see, that is the face of evil. Let me get to some of these super chats real quick. Let's see. Bridge Too Far says, was Wall's friends in on this one? He knows school shooters. Gerald Armstrong said the shooter had named all of the magazines and had a picture of Jesus' face on a target. Blue Eyed Scorpio says leftism is extremely dangerous, mentally unstable religious cult. I agree. Tired Retro Gamer says that even as a lapsed Catholic with my issues with the church, automatic ticket to hell for this guy. Stefan Moore says the mainstream media really won't like that it's another transformer. I'm sure they'll spin it to blame MAGA Trump. Ryan Miller says, I give huge credit. I got that one earlier. Alan Tanasi says, this trend of trans people doing mass boom booms on Christians is jarring, but the left will remain silent. They always are. JD 1989 says, I wonder if the shooter is a descendant of one of the wonderful people Jimmy Carter and Walter Mondale imported to Minnesota after the war. We'll see. Jeffrey Hill says, this makes me very, very sick to my stomach. You should be safe at a school or church. I'm a Christian, and it's scary that walking in a church, it should be safe, but it's not. Nowhere is safe, honestly. That's why, again, I talked about this a few, like last week, I talked about how I'm paranoid everywhere I go. I just am. I'm always minding my surroundings. It is simple as in a restaurant, I don't like being in, like, if you're sitting in a booth, I have to be on the end so that I can quickly move or go after someone if something happens, or, take cover of my family or whoever I'm with. Like, I can't stand to be restricted or anything like that. In a movie theater, I always sit at the very back if I can. I don't like people behind me. I like to have my eyes on people at all times to make sure that I understand what everybody's doing and what's going on. Driving down the road, my eyes are always on the mirrors. I keep vision of every single thing going on the road at all times. When I'm out and about, I'm always just scoping people out to see if I see suspicious behavior. I don't know why that's how I am. That's just how I am. I'm a very paranoid person from that perspective. When I'm at, like, for instance, when we do the fan meetups, people all the time, like, because I'll be standing in line meeting people, or I'll have a line of people meeting me for hours. And I'll always have people ask me, like, hey, Jeremy, do you want me to get you a drink or something like that? I will not drink from a drink you give me. I just, unless I know you very, very well, I will not drink from a drink you've given me. I just won't do it. Because I'm like, I don't know what's in it. I don't know what you're trying to do. No offense, but I'm not taking it. Yeah, it's not what I do. So, but, and I wish more and more people were, paranoid's probably the wrong word, but just a little more aware of their surroundings at all times. It could literally make the difference in life or death. It can. And the chances of that, you utilizing that are slim to none, probably. But in the off chance that you are in a situation, it's good to be aware. So, let's see. Colonel Flom says, our church has a few armed members situated in the back with pews, the back pews, and one always in the lobby during service. It needs it to be protocol for all churches going forward. 1,000%. 1,000%. Let's see what the latest update is. Is Fox News back? Let's see what they're saying. What is this?
5% are in favor of the military or National Guard helping police out, and 53% approve of the president's handling of crime. And right now, there's a press conference ongoing in Washington, D.C., and the mayor, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser, a Democrat, said that they're appreciative of the federal surge and that she spoke to President Trump this afternoon and has been personally engaged with AG Bondi. So that's...
Okay, look at this clip right here. Look what we have. Look what we have. Mayor Jacob Fry, Minneapolis will be continue to be a safe haven for the trans community. Let's listen to this real quick.
And I want all of you just to know exactly where we are as far as our neighbors go. Minneapolis will continue to be a safe haven for undocumented immigrants, for our trans community. Regardless of who you are or where you come from, Minneapolis is a place where you should be proud to call home.
And then this is today.
Families.
This is today.
These were Minneapolis families. These were American families. And the amount of pain that they are suffering right now is extraordinary. And don't just say this is about thoughts and prayers right now. These kids were literally praying. It was the first week of school. They were in a church.
What a terrible, terrible person. What an absolutely horrible person. He is responsible for this, just like any Democrat is. He is responsible. Mentally ill bullshit. Good Lord, man. This is insane, dude. Right here. If you're just tuning in, the Minnesota Catholic school shooter was transgender. Anybody surprised? We'll see how long it takes for the mainstream media to sweep this one under the rug because they don't want to talk about it anymore because they don't want that narrative out there. Just like Nashville. Wasn't it Nashville? We had that horrifically terrible situation, and we never got the manifesto, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think we ever got the manifesto on the Nashville one. Disgusting. All right. So this is why I can't show it. It's already been wiped from YouTube. Disturbing video from the alleged shooter, Robin Westman YouTube channel shows the deranged lunatic flipping through what appears to be a manifesto. It's already been wiped from YouTube. At one point, Westman lands on a page with a hand-drawn map of what looks like, I guess, the church in Minneapolis where the shooting took place. He then stabs the page where the church is drawn before whispering, "You see right there." So there you have it. It's all over X, all over Twitter. So crazy stuff, man. Absolutely psychotic. Why are we covering this shit up? Who is protecting this? Why are you protecting this? What is your goal other than to continue to harm innocent children? What is your goal? Absolutely fucking disgusting. And on top of that, let me find it. So right here, hang on. Breaking: YouTube just wiped the account of Robin W., who many are speculating is Robin Westman, the alleged Catholic church school shooter. The channel uploaded 2 manifesto-style videos this morning. They are threaded below. Viewer discretion is advised. Someone mentioned George Soros, and I saw this today. I don't know if you guys saw this, but President Trump actually called for George Soros and his son to be hit with RICO charges. President Trump calls for George Soros and his radical left son, Alex Soros, to be hit with RICO charges for supporting violent protests across the country. George Soros and his wonderful radical left son should be charged with RICO because of their support of violent protests. So, yeah. Yikes. Unbelievable, man. Those YouTube videos must be on X now. Yeah, a lot of accounts are reposting a lot of those now. Let's see if we get any more updates. Yeah, Crowder's got a clip on Twitter. This is absolutely disgusting, man. Robin Westman's socials have been cleansed off the internet across multiple platforms. So they're wiping it from everywhere. And again, this is why I'm so thankful that Elon Musk owns Twitter, because Twitter is going to be the only place, along with Rumble probably, that you're going to be able to get the truth out there. About the only place that you're going to see that right now. Thomas Armento says, F that clown agenda TV. I got banned in 2 posts on the Twitch channel for stating the obvious, and the mods on YouTube are insta-banning all mentions of gender. Total censorship. Yeah, again, man, agenda-free TV. I think Steve Lookner does a great job of covering the news, but they do not allow any discussions whatsoever. And Steve has TDS, so he just does. Manic AI Record says KK Trans. I appreciate it. Too Tired says his psychiatrist for his gender drugs needs to be charged for aiding and abetting. He is crazy. You heard the laugh. This didn't happen overnight. Charge the doctors and they will stop supporting. Well said. Pliskin McReady says that when the world's out to get you, paranoia is just good thinking. Dr. Johnny Fever. Yeah. WKRP in Cincinnati. I didn't even recognize it. Yeah. Thank you so much. Patrick Kennedy says it is literally this clown's job in our social contract to prevent this. Anthony says, was Tim Walz friends with the shooter? Jeffrey Hill says this is all on the media and Democratic Party pandering to these mentally ill people. SVT Junkie says the shooter had to Donald Trump on his gun. Yep. David Phillips says I was watching Crowder when this happened. They found the shooter's account. Excuse me. let's see. They found the shooter's account, and account got nuked as they were reporting on it. Yes, 100%. I just talked about that. Literally just talked about it. Mike Zero Sources, if this coward had a YouTube channel, how many of his followers cheered him on? Nobody reported his channel. If that makes you wonder, how many more will do a copycat? It's only going to get worse. Well, his account looked like it only had 2 videos and it had 43 subscribers. So I'm thinking it just got created. So it didn't look like he actually had, it didn't look like he actually had a following or anything over there. But I mean, who knows? That's just based on what we've seen. Let's see here. Brandon Herrera. I will not, nor will I ever say the name of the gutless coward who decided to take the lives of innocent people in Minneapolis today. My heart goes out to the family of those affected, but to the shooter, I have one thing to say in response. Fuck you, burn in hell. That's a pretty damn awesome take right there. I respect it. Absolutely respect it. But on the flip side, I think this person, I mean, I not that I disagree with him, but I think this person needs to be highlighted. I think the world needs to know exactly what this lunatic did and what the people like this lunatic are capable of. I understand what he's saying, and I generally agree, but in this situation, I think that these people need to be exposed, because that's the problem, is that they do get swept under the rug, as we see right here. When it's this type of person, it does get swept under the rug, and the name does disappear, because that's what the powers that be want. And I would argue, make them fucking famous. The more famous these freaks become, the more exposed they become, the more that people see through this bullshit of what all's going on. So, right here, Benny Johnson. One thing is very clear. The trans movement is radicalizing the mentally ill into becoming violent terrorists who target children for murder. The pattern is undeniable. Nashville, Lakewood, Colorado Springs, Denver, Aberdeen, Iowa. Noticing a trend? Noticing a trend? It's amazing how we don't talk about any of these things anymore. Ministry of Wrong Thing says you can bypass censorship to get the word out. You just got to be clever. Instead of saying they're trans, say, despite what happened, we still should support the T community. It does the same thing. Yeah. I mean, there's hoops and stuff to jump through for sure. I feel you on that. David Phillips says the things mother used to work at the church. Thank you, David Phillips. Macon says, when do we just declare Democrats as a terrorist organization? I feel like we're pretty close. Mickey's Fun Time becomes a new member. Thank you, Jeremy the Cyborg. Since the shooter was identified as trans, the leftist news will bury it 1,000%. Tom Patriot says, prayers for the real victims of this horrendous attack. I pray those injured recover fully. The victims who lost their lives, I pray they're with God. I would almost feel certain that the victims, the children 10 and 8, are certainly with God. I absolutely believe that. Let's see here. So Trump just signed a proclamation honoring the victims of the tragedy today in Minnesota. And here is everything that the proclamation right here says. So that's from Donald J. Trump. So Trump is already getting out ahead of this and making sure that he is he's letting everybody know he's aware of it. And he's not. I really hope that this is the beginning of the turn that we need to like expose these freaks. We've never been in a position where, like, when was the Nashville situation? When did Nashville happen? What year did that happen? Was that like 2021, 2022, something like that? Yeah, if there's a spammer in the chat, deport them right now. Deport them. If you're spamming the chat, you get deported immediately. We're not going to put you through any due process. You just have to get the fuck out. Like, it's that simple. Like, we don't want you. You can go back to wherever the fuck you came from. Deport the spammer right now. Deport him immediately. Get him out. You're deported. You're not welcome here. Let's see. Oh, no. This video actually will play. This is going to be a tough one to watch right here. If I can get the video to play, come on, Twitter, work. I still don't understand. Okay, right here. A 5th grader just revealed that his friend was laying on top of me, making sure I was safe, and he got hit. Oh my gosh. Are you kidding me?
What happened with him? Is he
okay? Yeah, I think he's gonna be okay. And then my friend, he was like laying on top of me, like making sure I was safe, and he got hit. So that was really brave of him.
And you have a neck on your neck?
Yeah, that was, I don't even know what it's from. Kind of looks like debris or something.
That came from during this?
Yeah.
How are you feeling? You seem pretty put together here, but it's got to be tough.
Yeah, I'm just like confused.
What happened with him?
Oh my gosh, man. Imagine being so deranged that you go into a school and shoot kids. See, this is a video I couldn't get to play. For whatever reason, I can't get that one to play. So I'll see if I can get that one fired up. Give me just a minute here. Yeah, it's still not playing. Unbelievable, man. Oh, hang on. Just got another update. Of course, Twitter does that stupid crap where it just updates and I'll lose the feed here. Let's see. Damn it, where did it go? Okay, we got that. Was it? Yeah, you know how Twitter, you'll see something at the top of your feed and then it just automatically refreshes? Here it is right here. So the mother of Robin Westman, the man who pretended to be a woman, she was an employee at the Catholic school in Minneapolis where Robin shot children today. So there was a connection. But this tweet, it's a new version.
It also appears that the mother of the gunman was a former employee of Annunciation of the school who had retired a couple of years back. And so initially authorities had said there was no clear connection between the gunman and the school itself. Now it appears as though the mother of the gunman does have a connection with that school. And it also appears.
Wow. Yeah, this is going to get worse throughout the day. The more information we find out. So there was a connection. Let's see what the mainstream's talking about. Let's see what Fox News is saying.
Saying, quote, both my kids have blood on them. It's just horrific, so cowardly. This person knew this was our first all-school mass of the year. It was obviously planned. This is the children's mass, not an advertised mass for the public, end quote. So we'll also be looking to see whether investigators address whether this shooter had any connection to this Catholic school and what he may have known leading up to his horrific actions. And I also want to point out that our Jackie Heinrich there with you, Sandra, reported earlier that Minnesota Governor Tim Walz spoke with President Trump, who offered his condolences, and Walz thanked him. I want to send it back over to you.
All right, CB, thank you. Stand by for us as the situation unfolds and we bring more information throughout the afternoon. Sandra?
Okay, let's bring in retired NYPD Lieutenant Joe Cardinale and former FBI special agent and Fox News contributor Nicole Parker. Joe, to you first on the brand new information just in, as we are now confirming per our sources, these two names that were being given, Robin Westman and Robert Westman. We are being told that the shooter may have used both names.
Well, I guess they'll just find out if he had any affiliation with that school under either name, and they'll search both those names to see if there was any kind of hint or reason for what this person did today. But make no mistake about it, Sandra, evil did visit the school today, and as we suspected, it was from the outside. And one point that I heard early, and I would love to know if it was confirmed, that he chocked the doors from the outside. That's very telling, because it tells you that he had planned this in maybe different stages. Maybe he wanted to block the doors, throw that smoke bomb in, and unblock them and get them as they came out. You don't know. But this was very well planned by this person. He had every intent to cause as much carnage as he could. And the stained glass windows, may have caused most of those injuries. But the fact that he did that during mass, it's troublesome to me as a Catholic. I sit next to the stained glass windows every Sunday, and each one depicts something, either the Stations of the Cross or something else. But it's very, it's very religious for us, and I really feel that I'm so glad that this person is no longer around to cause any more damage.
Nicole, what are you hearing from your colleagues who may still be in federal law enforcement about why the suspect would have used the two names, Robin and Robert? Can you glean anything at all from that?
Yeah, they're mentally ill.
Well, I can't say that I've spoken to anyone that I've worked with about that, but I think that we can all tell this person is clearly confused. And it seems that this might be a little similar to what we've seen in the past, such as the Nashville school shooting. This person may be transgender. It might be a little confused. There might be a manifesto. There might be a note. There might be some anger. And so I think it'll be very important for law enforcement to look into those potential clues. But again, honing in on what Joe said, we cannot underestimate how disgusting this violence is. Because again, not only did they select the most vulnerable individuals. I don't know about you, but I'm a woman of faith, and I really appreciate the opportunity to go to church and to worship. And to me, that's my safe place. As an FBI agent, that's where I went to escape the chaos of the world and to feel comfort and to feel God's love. Imagine being a child and you're at your safe space at church and you're getting killed and getting shot at your church. It's unacceptable.
You know what? And look at this right here. Look at this right here. This is the school shooter over the years. What happened? Do you know what this reminds me of? What's his name? Mr. Beast's friend, remember that? Mr. Beast's friend Chris Tyson, the dude that like had a kid and a wife, and he went from, remember, he went from this, he was a truck driving kind of like good old boy to a trans freak who left his wife and child. Remember that? But we're not supposed to talk about these things, apparently. So this person just kind of slowly morphs into a mentally ill weirdo, and now kids are dead because of it. And it's absolutely disgusting, man. And I would like to point out that there's a reason Mr. Beast has the biggest YouTube channel, and he's embraced by all the powers that be. And it's not because he's good at what he does. It's because he hates Trump and he pushes their ideology for them. And he has massive influence over children. That's why. Just so we're clear. Right here. So again, this is the mayor from Minneapolis right here.
And I want all of you just to know exactly where we are as far as our neighbors go. Minneapolis will continue to be a safe haven for undocumented immigrants.
Why the fuck are you clapping about that? Who the fuck is clapping about this?
For our trans community, regardless of who you are or where you come from, Minneapolis is a place where you should be proud to call home.
Then we have,
Minnesota ranks the highest.
I know you can barely hear it.
Being a safe haven for transgender individuals in Minnesota. And can I just say, we can talk about economic growth and feeding children and growing the economy and creating jobs simultaneously with talking about everybody's human rights matters, and we shouldn't be demonized.
There's Tim Wall saying that Minnesota is going to be a safe haven for transgenders.
44 times, and we'll sue them 44 more and 40.
The audio is so low on these videos, so I'm not gonna keep playing it because you guys can barely hear it. So again, this is who they invited this type of mindset into this area. It's disgusting, dude. Let's see. Mike Zero Source says, did she say gunman? Oh, that was a little bit earlier. I think she did. Blue Eyed Scorpio says, my new tab homepage is MSN, and this was the headline all over. Now it's gone. Safe assumption because suspect was revealed to be the typical suspect. Yep. Ryan Miller says, the Democrats have blood on their hands. The mother of this demon who signed off on this needs to be charged, locked up, and then throw away the key. Mike Zero Source says, how many trans school shooters have we had so far? This is not a coincidence. There's something more going on. Stay on this story, Jeremy. Drew Barr, thank you for the member message. Cattle Dog says, if y'all don't have your CC license yet, now's the time to get it. Stay safe, everyone. Chunk Punk says, make churches safe again. Christ is king. Let's see if we got updates here. There. Okay. Jake the Movie Geek says, stories like this just make me want to call up my woke family members and ask, hey, are you still supporting transgenders? Wish this video would play. I cannot get this video to play. What is this right here? Okay, that's something from somewhere else. Okay, that was from 4 hours ago. Oh my God. I'm playing it. Here we go. Here we go.
Hey y'all, today I'm going to be reading the Amana electric dryer user manual. Dryer safety. Your safety and the safety of others are very important. We have provided many important safety messages in this manual and on your appliance. Always read and obey all safety messages.
I am live on Rumble, by the way. Just as a heads up, I've played quite a few videos over here on YouTube that I probably shouldn't have been playing. So Snooty Mim says, thoughts and prayers to the families. This is why they are trying to break the family nucleus. They program children. When we stand strong, they cannot defeat us. It's we the people. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Let's see. Johnny Witzkid says, the school that was shot up a few blocks from my sister's house. She has 3 kids. They're safe. They go on a different school, but now my sis has to figure out how to explain to them. Imagine. Yep. Matt Eric says, how did an underage person get all these guns? It is illegal for them to have them. It's always Transformers that do this insane stuff. Stephen Strange says, Florida proves that there are too many 18-wheelers on the road and that they are too easy to get. JD Corey says, if there are bullets and kids, I run towards them. I gladly trade my life for a child's. No question asked. F this shooter. Absolutely. Enoch Amon says, leave kids alone. Let's see if there's any more updates. Right here.
Nightmare of their life can finally feel the love of a parent or a loved one or a guardian who can help them. And I know that as a parent, there's nothing, like I've said, there's nothing worse than sending your child off to school and wondering if they're going to come home. I mean, this is a private Catholic school. They were at mass. This cannot continue in our country.
That's for sure. Joe, when do you expect we'll hear from police?
I mean, the bottom line is as a parent, I'm a parent, and your kid is the most important thing in the world to you. If you are a decent parent, that's the only thing that matters. So you as a parent will do whatever you have to do to make sure that they are safe and that you don't have to worry. So like for me, I put my kid in a private school growing up until she was old enough to make decisions. And like, if she wanted to, she wanted to go to, a public high school the last few years because she hadn't really experienced that. And she was, so she'd been in a private school. So the private school that she was at, they had security and everything like that. You could not enter the school without being cleared. There were gates and everything. Now, at the time, I couldn't really afford that. Like, I wasn't in a position in life where it was very difficult for me to pay for that, but it's necessary. You know what I mean? So it's just when parents need to treat their children like the most important things in the world, because they are. And public schools, listen, man, you can do whatever you want, but like, I'm just saying, sending your child to a public school in 2025, I think is crazy. Maybe back in the day it wasn't that bad, but now with everything that's going on, there's really only two options. There's homeschooling and private schools. And neither one of those are an easy thing, because there's a lot of things that go with both of those, financial obligations and everything like that. But I just couldn't see sending a kid to a public school in 2025. There's just no fucking way.
Automatic, it seemed like a rifle. It certainly didn't sound like a handgun. And so he must have reloaded, several times for sure.
Check their new game day fit. Oh, snap.
All right, so they're on a commercial. Let's see what people are saying right now. Flags at the White House are now flying at half staff as President Trump signs a proclamation honoring the Catholic students who lost their lives today in Minneapolis school shooting. So there you have it right there.
Your thoughts. As we do, Joe, see the flag flying at half staff. The president just issued a proclamation ordering the flags to be flown at half staff in the wake of these shootings in Minneapolis. Joe, your thoughts?
Well, rightfully so. I applaud the president for doing that. Going back to what you just said about the name change for a gender identity there, I'm sure the two names being out there, people are going to start calling in saying, listen, I remember this individual, or I know.
As we do.
And I think this is perfectly said right here by Jim Banks. When you affirm mental illness instead of treating it, people get hurt. That is it right there. 100%. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. Let's see. What is this? Law enforcement sources are now confirming two names for the suspected trans shooter.
For our own David Spunt. This
is what we had on.
Law enforcement sources are now confirming two names of the shooter, Robin Westman and Robert Westman. The shooter may have used both names, we are being told by those sources. It is unclear which name local authorities will be announcing and how they will be treating the name in official documents. We are waiting for that official update from those law enforcement officials.
Yeah, there's only one name. There's one name is what there is. But look at this right here. Peggy Flanagan, the Lieutenant Governor of Minnesota. And guess what she's wearing? There you have it. There you have it. All the people that are in charge of the government in Minnesota are all pushing this stuff. All of them. Every single one of them. That's the face of evil right there. Good Lord, man. Just unbelievable. So disgusting. All the stuff that we're seeing. So if you're tuning in, 2 children lost their lives today in a shooting at a school/church where children were targeted by a trans person named Robert Westman. The specifics around this, let me get you the specifics if you're just tuning in. Let me go to my bookmarks. Here are the specifics from earlier, just so you can hear it directly from the police chief. Here we go.
Police officers from the Minneapolis Police Department immediately responded, entered the church, and attempted to provide first aid and rescue some of the children that were hiding throughout the building, while other first responders came and EMS responded to rush victims to nearby hospitals. 2 young children, ages 8 and 10, were killed where they sat in the pews. Their parents have been notified. 17 other people were injured, 14 of them being children. 2 of those children are in critical condition. The coward who fired these shots ultimately took his own life in the rear of the church. Our hearts are broken for the families who have lost their children, for these young lives that are now fighting to recover, and for our entire community that has been so deeply traumatized by this senseless attack. We will stand together to protect our children, our schools, and our houses of worship. This deliberate act of violence is just a sign of cruelty that is beyond comprehension. Our hearts are broken for everyone that's been affected by this tragedy. As we begin the difficult path of healing, I want the community to know this, that even in the face of such evil, the Minneapolis Police Department and all of our law enforcement partners stand with our community. We stand with these families and with this parish. We will continue to be here for you.
Well, then call it out and say that the leaders of the government in this state are constantly pushing transgender ideology, and we need to call them out because this is not going to stop. Not going to stop. Jess for $20 says, thank you for covering the story, Jeremy. I'm from the Twin Cities. Our local media will bury this story as fast as they can. I encourage folks to follow Liz Collins, Alpha News, for the truth about what's happening in Minnesota. Well, thank you, Jess. I appreciate that. And yeah, I don't doubt that the local media will absolutely bury this. I believe that 100%. Packet Proton says, some off-topic positive news. Knight Rider series in development from Cobra Kai writers. Maybe it'll be better than the last one. Yeah, I heard about that. The Cobra Kai guys are great, so I'm looking forward to that. Aldo says, YouTube is not letting me say what I want to say, so I send it over Streamlabs. Stay strong, Americans. Noted. I will get to that here in a minute. Too Tired says, shouldn't RFK do something about the med supply for Troons? Penalties for pushing inappropriate prescribing, harsher control of meds. I mean, he absolutely should. I agree. Defending Truth says, I am a racist, a dictator, homophobe, and anti-Semitic for pointing out. Am I a racist, a dictator, homophobic, or anti-Semitic for pointing out almost all of U.S. problems came from minorities, liberals, and non-Christians? I mean, getting called those things in 2025 is a compliment. I get called all those things every day, and it's always a compliment. Uber driver of the apocalypse is definitely hugging my son tighter. This needs to be handled swiftly. Just because they, them don't care doesn't mean we don't. Agreed. Let's see. Okay. All right. Let's hear what they're saying right here.
In the past, we had the instance that occurred in Tennessee, but by and large, these types of shootings occur in public schools. And so the parents that have kids that go to this school probably figured, hey, look, you know what, this is a safe environment. I'm sending my children to a Christian school. So they're not going to be online what normally happens in a public school, and something like this happened. It was an aberration, but at the same token, we're going to have an after-action review that provides us the teachable moments how to best fortify that school. One component would be drones. Understand, the archdiocese does not have the money that the public school system has. So they're somewhat limited in terms of the resources that they can introduce for security. But at the same token, this bears to be a necessity, not a nicety. So we need to move forward with the appropriate fortifications, such as drones, an armed security officer that would be outside of the school. Because when we saw what happened in Parkland as well as Uvalde, we had a shooter that began shooting from outside as they approached the building. So these are things that need to come into the mind of the individuals that are creating the security matrix in the school to ensure the safety of those children.
Again, I'll just repeat what I've said over and over again. I've been saying this for years. Every school where children are at should have armed security. I don't know if Trump can sign an executive order or something about that, but I don't know why he couldn't. Like, if you have a school in the United States of America where children are, gathering, then you should have an armed security. And that should be a signal that's put out there to every person that wants to go and harm a child, to let them know that you're going to fuck around and find out. You may come in there and you may cause problems for a second, but your head is going to get blown off the moment you try to mess with kids. Set a fucking standard. Like, this is a fucking important issue. This is not a small issue. Kids should be protected. There should be, and honestly, like, you know how we have fire, like we have fire code and shit like that, like so many people in a building. So for every, I don't know, X amount of hundreds of kids, you should have at least one security guard. So like, say that's for every 500 kids, you have one armed security. So that means by the time you reach 1,000, you need to have 2. And by the time you have 1,500, you need 3, and so on and so forth. That's how it should be. It absolutely should be like that. And I don't see why that's not a controversial take at all. Not even close. It just pisses me off that that's not a focus.
As to why the shooter selected this specific premise as a resulted in this horrific carnage that we're speaking to today.
We know that those victims are still in the hospital and getting the care that they need. We hope we get an update on them shortly. Checking again, none right now, but hopefully soon. Darren, thank you for joining us on that.
Thanks, Sandra.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we will have more on this breaking story when we return.
Get your commercials in, fucking mainstream losers. So let's see where we're at. John freaking Murdoch for 50 says, I really don't have words for what happened. I feel badly for the parents, for those unfortunate children. Thanks for staying on top of this. Thank you, John. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you for the support, as always. Always supportive, and it's really amazing, man. Thank you so much. President Trump has flags flying at half staff right now at the White House. Meanwhile, Tim Walz right here.
I've become friends with school shooters. I've seen it. Look, the NRA, I was an NRA guy for a long time. They used to, I've become friends with school shooters. I've seen it. Look, the NRA, I was an NRA guy for a long time. They used to, I've become friends with.
There it is right there. There it is. That Streamlabs donation, let's see, from Aldo. It says, let's see. So thank you for the 10. I appreciate it. Illegals killing folks, essaying women and children on the streets, traffickers selling kids into slavery to farm, and evil demonic creatures, not people, are, let's see, preying on and killing kids. Always the same POSs. May these monsters burn in hell. Thank you for the 10. I appreciate it, brother. And I agree completely. But as long as you have the blue cities, the blue leadership that they have, like Tim Walz and Jacob Fry, this is where we are. This is where we are. Oh my God, this is going to be horrible to listen to. This is going to be terrible. This is going to be tough.
So I was just at church, and I heard something like really loud, like I thought it was fireworks in the church, and then I saw the shooting, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so scared. And so a teacher led me downstairs, to like the preschool classroom, and so I went there, and me and my friend Cece were just praying. I was just like praying if everybody could be safe and nobody would do this again. So,
man, I personally, like, again, my kid would not be interviewed by the mainstream after this horrific situation. It just would not. But that's just me. But just seeing that is awful. Dang. That's tough to watch, man. That is tough to watch. Okay. Oh no. This fucking clown. The Democratic mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Fry, posed for the cameras, putting his emotions on display for the media after the shooting that left children murdered at the hands of a psychopath. This is performative bullshit. And if you don't believe me, this is the same Jacob Fry that did this. Hang on, I got to find it. This is the same Jacob Fry that pulled this bullshit right here at George Floyd's funeral. Kneels down at George Floyd's casket.
No matter what may come my
Not even like. There has never been a better representative of the Democratic Party than Jacob fucking Fry. There's never been. Look at this fucking loser. He's crying over George Floyd. So fake. And do you know what that got him? Do you know what that got him? It got him this right here, okay? It got him this right here. This is what this got him. Jacob Fry gets shamed.
In terms of how the department operates, a systemically racist system needs to be revamped. The police union needs to be put in its place. We need to make sure that everything from the union contract to the way that the arbitration functions to the way that the officers and the culture of the department behaves.
So this is Jacob Fry pandering to a Black Lives Matter rally. And he's out there trying to say, hello, fellow black people. Yes, I stand against racism too. And do you know what they did? They ran him out of there.
Jacob Fry, we have a yes or no question for you. Yes or no, will you commit to defunding Minneapolis Police Department? What did I say? We don't want no more police. We don't want people with guns toting around in our community, shooting us down. Will you defund the Minneapolis Police Department? All right, be quiet, y'all. Be quiet, because it's important that we actually hear this. It's important that we hear this, because if y'all don't know, he's up for re-election next year.
No more police. We don't want no more police.
If y'all don't know, he's up for re-election next year. And if he says no, guess what the fuck we gonna do next year? doing that regardless.
Absolutely insane, dude. Like, it's unbelievable.
It was humiliation on us to defund our own enforcement system. Minneapolis.
And Daniel Drop. Care about your damn AI bullshit. There's a better video of it though, of his shame walk. Is this it right here? That sign says white silence equals violence. These are the type of people that we're dealing with. These are the people that, this is the mayor of Minneapolis right here. There it is. And here he is today posing for the cameras. Posing for the cameras to show everyone how deeply emotional he is about this whole situation. This guy right here.
And I want all of you just to know exactly where we are as far as our neighbors go. Minneapolis will continue to be a safe haven for undocumented immigrants, for our trans community. Regardless of who you are or where you come from, Minneapolis is a place where you should be proud to call home.
And then today, this is what he had to say.
These were Minneapolis families. These were American families. And the amount of pain that they are suffering right now is extraordinary. And don't just say this is about thoughts and prayers right now. These kids were literally praying. It was the first week of school. They were in a church.
Yeah, man. Something else, isn't it? Something else indeed. The Major for 10 says, this is the same strategy of attention model from Operation Gladio Days. Thank you, The Major. BMCCB for 50 says, Minnesota resident here. Jeremy can say sober in a live stream what I say drunkenly in private. Dude, listen. If I was just on Rumble, okay, because how the internet works, I probably, if I was just exclusively on Rumble, I probably wouldn't say much worse than I say now, because I know it can be clipped out and the fucking people that hate me will use it against me. But I'll just say, if you were to talk to me in person, you would hear a lot worse. Like, this is PG basically for me on YouTube. This is PG for me. Like, just to be clear, I say all of the offensive shit in private, okay? I'm not hiding that fact, and I don't give a fuck if that offends anyone. I say all the offensive shit, period. So don't care if that offends you. Don't give a shit. Yeah, so I this is still PG for me for the most part. Ministry Ron thinks is drones would only provide a no POV of an event. Socrates Magoat says, about to go off to daily mass at my parish to pray for the souls of the children. To all of the troons out there, repent before comes for you. Yep. Let's see. It's Ma'am says, why have the last 15 shooters been LGBT suspects? Defending Truth says, armed security implies we know who is a threat. MAGA Mike says, brother, your channel isn't even up in my feed and I can't super chat anything with names associated with today's events, like Jen lying bitch Saki. I'm getting a lot of people telling me that like they're changing up words to get them through on YouTube right now. Like Darth Gavel over on Rumble says, YouTube is censoring me. The devil is a Democrat. So he couldn't even type the devil is a Democrat. Bolt Runner says, Trey Gowdy said it's all a white male. It says it's always a white male. Really? I can't highlight your what you sent on Rumble. Let me look up Trey Gowdy. I don't like Trey Gowdy. Let's see, Trey Gowdy. Let's see here. Okay, is this it right here? Let me go back to this screen. Here we go.
Our system is reactive. Something bad happens, we react to it. And what people are crying for now is, how can we prevent this? How can we stop it? And the only way to stop it is to identify the shooter ahead of time or keep the weapons out of their hands. And so we're going to have a conversation of freedom versus protecting children. I mean, how many school shootings does it take before we're going to have a conversation about keeping firearms out? It's always a young white male, almost always. I mean, did anyone this morning think, I wonder if that was a female? Did any of y'all think that? I mean, there's been one school shooting involving a female. One. Yeah, Tennessee. But other than that, it is usually young white males.
Wow. Trey Gowdy is going to get fucking annihilated, as he should. Holy shit. That is crazy. Unbelievable. Okay, right here. So here's more deets dropping. Mom of Minneapolis mass shooter Robert Westman worked at Catholic school where he opened fire, killing 2 kids and injuring over a dozen more. Jeez, man. I can't believe Trey Gowdy said that. I'm not even the biggest fan of him, but I don't remember him being that insane. That is crazy. He's going to get eaten alive by the Fox News audience. Commodore Fran says every county PD in the U.S. should be required to have at least 2 full-time officers at schools when kids are there and 1 for teacher work days, period. I always say it, man. Like, I think that, like, messaging is important. And I have spent, like, when we do, well, now, you know, because we do a lot of our meetups at Universal Studios, so I don't have to worry so much about, you know, security anymore. But like when I did do the meetups, I mean, that one meetup in Orlando where we had it at that hotel, some of you were there, a lot of you were there probably. I mean, that meetup cost me, I think it cost me like $25,000. And I didn't charge anyone for anything, by the way. It was a free meetup. But a lot of that cost, like I paid for private security, paid for undercover security, and I paid to have a police car and a police officer out front so that when people showed up and they saw there's a police officer here, there's a uniformed police officer at this meetup, we can't fuck around. It's setting a tone. It's setting a standard to say, like, you're not going to come fuck with us. Okay. You're just not. So you set that standard for people, they're not going to do it. If you present a strong presence of we're not going to let you fuck around, then they won't do it. Do you know why this freak went to a school where there were children? Because they were an easy target that they could harm easily without any resistance. Coward. A coward is not going to go where the military or a police officer or armed security is. They're just not going to do it. Fucking hell, man. Makes me sick. Makes me absolutely sick. Let's see here. MAGA Mike says they're trying desperately to drown this story. Good Sir says it's the Black Plague. Darth Manic says Fry's reaction is just like PC Principal's outrage, fake as balls. MAGA Mike says woke Twitter gloating. When will our people take over the streets? SBZ says 100% sure he will blame the gun. MAGA Mike says MAGA doesn't give an F about skin color. Stand together. Defending Truth says Jacob Fry's Jewish. Make of that what you will. Darth Gavel says YouTube is censoring me. Left a Rumble chat. Yeah, got you. Storm Shadow says without addressing root cause, evil crazies will just get creative in spite of security. Lord Botha says Fry is like the dollar store brand of a mix of Trudeau and Newsom, the most soy of soy. Mike Zero Source says the devil is a Democrat. Well, you were able to say it. MAGA Mike says I'm tired of the mentally ill. And then MAGA Mike says all of Chicago's problems are because of white males. I'll bet YouTube lets this one go through. Yep, you were right. You were correct. BC Man says try that in a small town. Bolt Runner says politicians are afraid of pointing out the trans violence against helpless children. Crazy. Okay. Any update? I would love to see an update from Trey Gowdy. I'd love to hear that. I don't know if does he have his own show on Fox or something? I know he makes appearances on there. I don't know if he has his own show or what. Is that okay? So this is what legacy media is going with, blaming those who pray.
I mean, he's expressing something that I know you feel and most people feel, which is a combination of sadness, but raw rage. That forget about thoughts and prayers. These kids were literally praying when they were murdered through a church window.
It's unbelievable. And just, Jacob, the mayor, and his wife Sarah just had a second baby. So I know he knows this just gutturally of how this feels.
And here you have, this was yesterday, but I think it's important to see what Democrats are all about. Congressman Jamie Raskin opposes President Trump's crime crackdown because crime has always been part of history. This is the Democrats right here.
He's trying to militarize our society, intimidate his political opponents. The whole idea of picking cities based on their partisan leadership is absurd. I mean, there are lots of Republican cities and towns struggling with crime. Everybody is across the country. Always, crime has always been part of our history.
What?
Crime is down.
What? Holy shit. Crime has always been part of our history. Therefore, Trump bad for cracking down on crime. Holy shit.
DC, for example, it's at a 30-year low. It's down in Baltimore. It's down in Chicago. But the point is that in our system of federalism, the different branches of government and the different departments of government are supposed to work together. If Donald Trump thinks he's got some great ideas for Chicago or Miami or Houston, Texas, or whatever, he should call a summit for the White House and say, hey, here's some ideas where the feds can work together with states and localities, not have a series of rolling National Guard invasions of people's cities.
I do feel bad for people that live in blue areas and blue cities and blue states, because like I said, man, like I am lucky that I live in Florida. I didn't choose Florida because I was like, oh, it's going to be based down there. I chose Florida long before like all this political stuff happened. And so it's like, it's sad that these leaders in these areas are just making it so horrible for people, these law-abiding citizens and everything like that. It's sad. Let's see. I saw Gary in the chat. Man, I should have said crime has always been part of history to the judge. Judge, Crime's always been part of history. So can you just let me off? Can you just let me off, Judge? Good Lord, man. So again, if you're just tuning in, the shooter at the school/church identified as a trans weirdo, Robert Westman, who tried to identify as female under the name Robin, also on the gun had those words right there. You know what? Donald Trump on the gun. This is the mentally ill freaks that we're dealing with. And it's scary. Now so this video of Trey Gowdy is going pretty viral now.
Our system is reactive. Something bad happens, we react to it. And what people are crying for now is, how can we prevent this? How can we stop it? And the only way to stop it is to identify the shooter ahead of time or keep the weapons out of their hands. And so we're going to have a conversation of freedom versus protecting children. I mean, how many school shootings does it take before we're going to have a conversation about keeping firearms out? It's always a young white male, almost always. I mean, did anyone this morning think, I wonder if that was a female? Did any of y'all think that? I mean, there's been one school shooting involving a female. One. Yeah, Tennessee. But other than that, it is usually young white males.
Woo! That ain't going to go over very well. That is not going to go over very well at all. Ministry of Wrongthink says, forget about thoughts and prayers. These kids were literally praying. 2 people already said the same thing. It's literally a scripted line. The media, Minnesota officials are in on it. Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, I mean, again, it's funny because what Jacob Fry was saying and what the media were saying in that moment was very telling as to they accidentally told you why these children were targeted. They didn't mean to, but they told you exactly why these children were targeted. And it's because they were in a church and they were praying and they were children. And this freak could go after them. That's exactly what it's about. Alden the Blue says, at this rate, parents will dread their kids potentially identifying as a Decepticon because Decepticon will be today's equivalent to trench coats from the early 2000s. Thank you so much, Alden the Blue. Darth Gavel says, crime is not a cultural tradition, for fuck's sake. 1992 space movie for 20 says, yes, crime has always been part of history, but what hasn't been part of history is not arresting and putting people in jail for these said crimes. When you have a lawless city, you have lawless people. 1000%. Absolutely. Defending Truth says the shooter looks like Eric Stoltz from 1985's Mask. You are correct, actually. You are correct. Holy fuck, you're correct. Wow. Oh, man. I don't know if your super chat said looks or looked, but we have to make sure it's past tense. So looked like. Certainly doesn't look anymore. It looked like. So there we have it. Woo! I was not even thinking that until you said it, and then immediately you said it, and I'm like, holy shit, that is so accurate. MAGA Mike says, I really hope that someone is investigating this new YouTube censorship. This is ridiculous. Commodore fan says, after a bomb scare in 86, all the public schools here in part of South Carolina got county PD resource officers, and we had little issues afterwards. It works. It absolutely does work. The Under Armour Gamer says, I have an old teacher who would rather abolish the Second Amendment than put train guards with guns in school. It's insane. Let's see. Darth Gavel says the Democratic Party are Decepticons. John Jones says, how many kids will have to die for you to support gun control? It's not a plea, it's a threat. Chaz Dragoon says, did you catch the shooter mag had RIP or rip and tear the Doom Eternal written? Yep. Place your bets on banning violent video games rhetoric coming. That they will 100% go after Doom over that. 1000% they will. Yep. Ban video games. You know, Trump was stupid enough to say that once upon a time back during his first term. Trump was stupid enough to make that argument. Interesting how he hasn't made that argument since. Maybe he realized how stupid he was when he said it. And there was just another video that I wanted to see. What is this? MSNBC. What's MSNBC got to say?
BBC News has confirmed with those same law enforcement officials that the suspect left behind videos that were posted online. There were writings that referenced suicide as well as extremely violent thoughts and ideas. There was an apology to their family and a handwritten sketch of the interior layout of a church. Now, Chris, it's not clear or confirmed if that sketch, that individual sketch, is the church where the shooter eventually opened fire, but that's what we know right now. So Robin Westman has been identified by federal law enforcement as the shooter.
And it was pretty clear, Chris, when they gave the press conference, because they said back then he had a limited criminal history, that they must have known who he was. But now they're obviously comfortable in letting us know that information, or various people who are confirming that for us.
NBC News has confirmed with those same law.
Okay. Yeah, fuck MSNBC. When are they changing their name? I'm still curious about that.
Obviously, that could have, as Joe, I think, was pointing out earlier, a lot of damage could have been done by the breaking of the stained glass windows as well, because this shooter, as we now know, did not go inside. He shot from outside those windows into the church as those young children were attending mass and praying in the pews. You have to imagine, when you, considering the amount of rounds that we are learning were fired, there was probably glass everywhere.
Yeah, and just to hear his little voice talking about his friend Victor laying on top of him.
Look at this right here. Let me see. Hang on. Call people weirdo as part of the problem, Mr. D-Day Cobra, aka Gatekeeper. I don't know if you're saying like me calling them weirdos is a problem, but I just want you to know that I say much worse in private. So if it makes you feel any better, I say weirdo as a placeholder for the things that I can't say on the internet, but I say much worse, like much worse in person. Like, use your imagination to think about the things that I say in private, and it's probably even worse than that. Okay. So I just want to make it crystal clear that I say much worse. Okay.
The story, an unthinkable tragedy, cruelty beyond comprehension. That's what the Minneapolis police chief says about the shooting in a Catholic church that killed 2 children today. They were attending worship during their first week of grade school. The victims who lost their lives this morning are 8 and 10 years old. 17 other people have been injured, more than a dozen of them children. The police says the shooter opened fire from outside the church during mass.
Shooting through the windows, he struck children and worshipers that were inside the building. The shooter was armed with a rifle, a shotgun, and a pistol. This was a deliberate act of violence against innocent children and other people worshiping. The sheer cruelty and cowardice of firing into a church full of children is absolutely incomprehensible.
School children inside that mass today bore witness to violence, the blood of their friends, and terror. Some of them are now beginning to tell us what that was like.
Well, we just got into mass, and it was like 3 minutes after. It was very scary. It was like my friend got shot in the back. He's in the hospital right now. It was super scary because like we've never practiced it in the church. We've only practiced it in the main school. So we really didn't know what to do. We just got into the pews and he shot through the stained glass windows.
They never practiced how to respond to an active shooter inside church. Let's bring in correspondent CB Cotton. She joins us from New York with new details this hour. Hi, CB. And it's sad that you even have to practice this nowadays. So we've been learning more details about the shooter, who law enforcement sources say is a person named Robin Westman. Court records pulled by our Fox Digital team show this person legally changed their name from Robert Westman to Robin Westman sometime between 2019 and 2020. Investigators have said the gunman died of what appears to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound, and our local Fox affiliate says investigators are currently searching a home connected to the shooter. But in the hours ahead, Jillian, we're hoping to learn what past ties there may have been between this person and Annunciation Catholic School.
He is in his early 20s, does not have an extensive known criminal history. And we are looking through information left.
Can I ask a question? I just want to ask a question. What the fuck is this woman going to do? What the fuck is this woman in a uniform going to do to a criminal? Can somebody answer that shit for me? How about this little guy back here? Look at this motherfucker. He's like 4'3". What the fuck is he going to do?
Left behind to try and determine some type of motive. The question was, do we know if the shooter was a former school employee or a former student? We don't have that information.
Was the little person, and was that another chick? I couldn't even tell.
This tragedy happened just before 8:30 a.m. local time during a mass celebrating kids' first week back to school. Police said, again, 2 children lost their lives and 17 other people were injured, a total which includes 14 pediatric injuries.
I can't get into specifics, but we are dealing with gunshot wound injuries from apparently a high-velocity weapon. And, gunshot wounds can be very problematic because they can involve multiple body systems.
Horrific video from the scene has showed children sobbing in their Catholic school uniforms as they walk away from the school with their parents, whose faces look so stunned and horrified. A local outlet has also spoke with that 10-year-old boy who was inside the church, now forced to process this trauma.
My friend ran, someone helped him run out. He saw him, he was wearing all black and he had a ski mask on. My friend Victor, he was laying on top of me, making sure I was safe, and he got hit. So that was really brave of him.
Minnesota Governor Tim Walz wrote on social media earlier that Minneapolis is heartbroken. And Jackie Heinrich learned earlier today that Governor Walz spoke with President Trump, who offered his condolences. Jillian. All right, CB Cotton in the New York newsroom for you. Thank you. Let's go ahead and now bring in Rich Stanek. He's former Hennepin County Sheriff and Minnesota Department of Public Safety Commissioner. Sir, thanks for taking time.
Well, we got this right here, if this makes you guys feel any better, because I know everyone was looking forward to the words of somebody from Hollywood. So here we go. Actress Mia Farrow blames Republicans moments after deadly Minnesota mass shooting. Mia Farrow, I know everybody, listen, there's about 3,500 people watching. I know everybody has been like, Jeremy, what does Mia Farrow think? We need to know what Mia Farrow thinks. Can you please let us know what Mia Farrow thinks? We are very interested in what Mia Farrow thinks about this. This is crucial information. So there you have it. You all were wondering, and we have our answer now. Okay. So thank you, Mia Farrow, for letting us know that it's Republicans that are to blame. I have to say that Andy No has given us like what a hell of a fucking tweet right here. As trans anti-Trump, anti-Christian radical named Robin, previously Robert Paul Westman, has been identified as the Minneapolis shooter who killed 2 children and injured many more at the Catholic Church in Minneapolis. Media is hiding that he's trans. What a freaking headline. I mean, it's all of it's accurate too, by the way. But I saw that. I'm like, that's a lot, Andy. No, that's a lot that you threw together. Let's see here. And I want to play the clip again from Primetime. Because as I said, Primetime, he puts this stuff in a comedic form, but knows what he's talking about. Okay. Is this it? Let's see.
In the battlefield, a good soldier. First of all, excuse me, to draft queens. And, you know, I actually like transgenders in the military, too, because, first of all, transgenders are some of the meanest people on planet Earth. So they make a good soldier, don't you think? And then, you know, second of all, transgenders love to do mass shootings. So, you know, that's perfect for a military veteran. And then on top of that, the suicide rate is incredibly high among transgender people. So we could just use them like the Taliban has suicide bombers. Maybe you guys can actually, you know, if you commit suicide, actually help us in the battlefield. So that would be good. So I think we need transgenders in.
You guys keep telling about Jen Psaki's tweet. Let me look up Jen Psaki's tweet. What is her? How do you fucking spell her stupid name? There it is. Okay. All right, here's Jen Psaki's Twitter. Prayer is not freaking enough. Prayers does not end school shooting. Prayers do not make parents feel safe sending their kids to school. Prayer does not bring these kids back. Enough with the thoughts and prayers. Wow. Absolutely insane. When kids get shot in their pews at a Catholic school mass, your crime plan is to have National Guard put mulch down around DC. Maybe rethink your strategy. Dude, holy crap. Hang on, I'm getting a phone call right now. Let's see. All right, I had to respond with a text. But dude, does she still work for MSDNC? Does she still have a show over there? I can't remember. I know she had a show on MSDNC, but I don't know if she still does. Because she still does. Okay. Let's see here. Let me go back to this live feed, because this is a family member calling me, so I do have to take this. So I will be right back.
Laying out his weapons, talking about what he was going to do and why he was going to do it. Unbelievable.
It's a shock to the conscience, but in some respects not surprising, given that there was another shooting in the county at a nearby school just the day before.
Not just in the county, less than 2 miles away, less than 20 hours before, a guy got out of a vehicle, opened fire with a semi-automatic weapon, shot 6 people, one of them dead. It happened at 1:30 in the afternoon in broad daylight in a busy intersection in Minneapolis. And then you have this 20 hours later, 17 people shot, 2 young children dead. The community's in chaos. I mean, you have to look at this and say, what is going on? Failed leadership, governor, mayor, elected officials, the police movement, which thank God got defeated for the most part, but we're still reeling from the after effects. That police department in Minneapolis is trying to do the best job they can every single day, but they're at half staff. Half staffing still 4 years later.
What do you say, sir, to the kids, the families of the kids, the families of the adults who have been hurt today. I mean, where do you start?
You start with the truth.
Jillian,
You start with the truth. You start with the truth. The truth is that Democrats and Hollywood and the mainstream media have been pushing a pro-transgender agenda. They have been indoctrinating children for years. They have been embracing mental illness, and we have to put a stop to it because that's the fucking truth. The truth is always the best policy.
Folks watching this, I grew up in that city. I spent 40 years of my professional life in public safety, both as a Minneapolis police officer and elected county sheriff. I was born and raised not far from where this happened. I went to a Catholic school. I went to church in the morning, the first class of the day at the elementary school I went to. For the parents and the kids and others watching out there, you got to have faith. You got to.
All right. So this is a tweet right here. President Trump should immediately sign an executive order directing federal agencies to reclassify transgenderism as a mental illness. I'm sick and tired of pretending like it's not. No more children should die at the hands of these people. Is Trump going to step in and do something? I don't know, but he should. We shall see if it happens. I bet you they're having some discussions right now in the White House. It'll be interesting. Or we could just, keep having Tampon Tim sit there and celebrate mental illness. So there you go. Is this live right now? Guess this is live, isn't it? Is this live?
Here, and she had said she'd just gone to work when it came through a mom text group about how this had occurred, and one of the moms in that group is a preschooler here, and she immediately thought about her own kids at home, and came home, and as you mentioned, she talked about seeing the kids walking past her house this morning before she'd left for work to go to that school. She's lived here for 8 years. And, and that school is a neighbor, just like all your other neighbors are neighbors. The school and the church, the connected church for the school. I mean, these are.
Could you imagine what would be going on right now if Trump wouldn't have won? Could you imagine how, I think we lose sight of it because of social media, because the news cycle is so constant and everything is happening at such a rapid pace. And every day there's a new thing to be upset about and a new thing to worry about. These last 6 months, this country is fundamentally different because of Trump. But think about what it would be without him,
Own children getting ready to return to the school that they go to next week, and the emotions and just the shock of her own kids processing that this occurred at a school.
Let's go ahead and play that. Let's play it for our viewers.
Yeah. How long have you lived here?
8 years.
It's just half a block from the school.
Yeah.
What's the first thing you knew that something had occurred today?
I was at work. My kids were here. We're in that stretch of summer for public schools where there's not a lot of care for kids. So my oldest was taking care of my littlest, and I'm on a mom's chat group, and one of the mom's kids goes there to preschool. And I was at work and just got here as fast as I could, scared of, just not knowing what was happening in the neighborhood at all at that point.
Did you learn about it from the mom?
Yes. Well, at that point, it was that there's a mass shooting at Annunciation. And knowing how close my home is to there, I just got here as fast as I could.
So was it the mother of the preschooler who told you that?
No, she was on the thread, though. Okay. But no, just making sure we all knew what was happening and that we were all safe.
Her child is okay.
Her child is safe. Went into lockdown. The dad was able to get into lockdown with them, and they're home.
Is you known people who've had kids there before too?
Yeah, absolutely. We know kids throughout the neighborhood who go there. We see them walk to school. I actually saw 2 on the way to school this morning as I was on my way to work. So it happened right after that.
How does this? How are you dealing with this? How are you feeling?
I think I'm really sad. I'm frustrated that this continues to happen. That, I don't like saying that I never thought that would happen in my neighborhood, because every neighborhood should feel safe. But I literally could not imagine this happening here. You always want to think that your kids can play around the block safely. They walk around to we're right here at a library and a grocery store. You give them independence, and then you're terrified that something may happen to them.
Chris in the chat says John Campea in drag. Chris, I should ban you for that, for putting that mental image in my mind. But you're out of line, but you're not wrong.
I see.
Wait, so do you stop?
You okay?
We're good. A friend of mine has come and gotten my kids so they could get out of this a little bit today and not see it. They start school next week. So my oldest is really thinking about that right now and is really sad.
That's the thing for kids and
Yeah.
parents who are going back to school this week or next week.
Yeah.
This is psychologically just hard to process.
It's awful. It's supposed to be a week of, it's so happy that the routines are back in place, or if you're a kindergartner or preschool, it's such that next step in life to start school, and for this to be taken away and to have their first week happen like this is just unreal.
We saw the police with canines going through the yards here. Did they tell you they were looking for something specific?
I asked them, is everything safe? And they just said it's added precaution.
No offense to this woman, but she's boring the hell out of me. I know a lot of people are speculating she's probably a lib. I have no idea, but she's boring the hell out of me. But everybody deals with it in their own way. So, let's see. What is this? MSNBC analyst suggests a school shooter may have been driven by the effects of COVID. What?
Did they help motivate him and radicalize him to carry out this shooting?
When you use the word radicalize, we tend to think of terror, a more traditional terrorist, something that people came, especially in this country, to seem to be familiar with in the post 9/11 era, right? So when you talk about radicalization, you talk about writings that reference suicide, extremely violent thoughts and ideas, and those multiple videos that are posted online. What do these groups do when you say they radicalize?
So, whether it's a terrorist organization or the variety of ideologies that different people follow, they're following them because they have susceptibility. There's various push-pull factors. Maybe it's some kind of mental break. Maybe it's their life has gone down the toilet and they have no hope. Maybe they have bad parenting, a variety of things. The effects of COVID and the isolation and what's called the gamification influence, where young men are growing up being raised by video games. All of those things are involved in really people mobilizing towards violence more routinely in these things. But you will also see people get radicalized solely on these video games through headsets. They may never go on the internet otherwise. So there's a variety of things that threat professionals look at now and trends, but we're seeing this repeated.
Fuck these people.
I got to say that I want to admit something right here, and this is a difficult thing for me. to admit, but MSNBC has definitely given me the strength to admit this. But I play a lot of Mario Kart, and it's time to admit that I now throw turtle shells and banana peels at other cars on the road. It's an impulse I can't control. I just throw turtles and turtle shells and bananas. And I get red food coloring, and then I color the turtle shell red so I can have like the heat seeker, because like when somebody like makes me angry in traffic, like I've been indoctrinated by Mario Kart that I can't help it. I go to the pet store, I buy a bunch of turtles, and I just sometimes I just throw the turtle shell with the turtle in it. Like I need help. I need help. So hopefully I can get the help I need. I've been radicalized by Mario Kart. So thank you, MSNBC, for helping me have the strength to admit this to the world. Been a tough time, but Jeremy throws plastic straws at turtles too, says Alec Baldwin's finger. What's up, ABF? Kritosa says, damn, the Westman dude has a chin for cracking open coconuts and shellfish. Darth Gavel says, make Democrat the new D word. Jade Runner says, little off topic, I know, sorry, but I just tweeted a Substack article to you by Devin Tracy proving the Young Turks incited a fan to murder 4 cops in 2016. If interested, spread the word. I will check it out. Free Men Die Free says, everyone who pushed the trans agenda in schools should be exiled. The DMG, the damage they've done to the minds of the innocent youth is unforgivable. I agree completely. Thrash Vice says, Asman is watching Kato's video. Kato always gets Asman watching his videos. Chappie says, mainstream media, how could this have happened? Also, make MSM this breaking news alert brought to you by Check Rumble Rant for what YouTube wouldn't allow. All right, let me check over there. MSM, mainstream media, such a tragedy. How could this happen? Also, mainstream media, this is breaking news alert, was brought to you by Pfizer's new HRT drug, Trunzadine. Don't transition without it. Isn't that how it goes? BC Man, I got that one. Mod Eric says, this guy's a moron. He was trans and not allowed to have any guns being a minor. It was breaking the law already. Mass shooters are stopped by legal shooters, even according to the FBI. Jade Runner says, meant to say I tweeted the article to you. Okay, no problem. I will check it out, though. YouTube is run by Marxist, says, we protect our money better than we do our kids. Gay Locata says, federalize the school zones. Mike Zero Source says, is Newsmax covering the shooting? I don't know. I don't really watch Newsmax that much. Defending Truth says, Trump won and things are shit show. We need change. Defending Truth also says, heads up, YouTube is unsubscribing your channel again. Yeah, that happens. It's not, subs have been kind of hit or miss. So, Warbeer says that you're a monster. Real Life Fake Wizard says, radicalized by Mario Kart is my next mixtape. Hey, if I can set a trend, MSNBC, they helped me. They helped me get to this place where I could admit that Mario Kart radicalized me. So thank you, Real Life Fake Wizard. J Ray says, I throw turtle shells and bananas all the time. Also, what's Mario Kart? The patriarchy says, I love how CNN is scaling the purple of a man. Never question somebody's gender identity unless it's a member of that group does something to make said group look bad. Jade Runner says, funny if this far left freak was a fan of Doom Eternal, considering that game had a based metaphor about illegal migrants being demons. Oh yeah, there was a big controversy about that one. I remember it. Doom Eternal's great. Fucking awesome game. Let's see if there's any updates really quickly. What are they saying on Fixed News? They still talking about it? Trump is deploying the National Guard to Chicago. We know about that, which is fantastic, by the way. I love that Trump is deploying the National Guard to Chicago. That's going to be crazy. See how this whole thing plays out. Okay, breaking. The trans shooter at the Catholic school in Minneapolis was previously a student of the school, law enforcement tells Washington Post. His mother also worked there. Seems to be a copycat of trans who shot up the Covenant School in Nashville. So this person used to be a student there. This dude used to be a student there. Interesting. Okay. The plot thickens. That one. What is it? Right here, flashback to when Tim Walz established Minnesota as a trans refugee state. 2 years ago, the Democratic Party is despicable. Instead of treating dangerous mental illness, they promote it. Here we go. And there's, I believe, the lieutenant governor wearing the pro-trans shirt, standing there with children.
Guess what? Love wins. Here you go.
Absolutely insane. Unbelievable. Somebody said in the chat, did the parents know how unstable their son was? Yeah, it's really tough to know. It's really tough to know. I don't know if this dude was living at home with his parents. I don't know the specifics. Trey Gowdy is getting crushed over his take on blaming white males for this. Okay, everybody's saying reopen asylums. That's a big thing right now. Like Trump should just reopen Arkham Asylum. Just open it up. Reopen these asylums. Name it Arkham. All right, let's do it. Let's reopen some asylums. Call them Arkham Asylum, and lock up Democrats and people with pronouns in their bio. I mean, they already call him a dictator anyway, right? So might as well just go ahead and say, hey, I'm just going to help your self-fulfilling prophecy. You call me a dictator. I'm just going to open up asylums, reopen them to and rename it to Arkham. And then we're just going to lock up Democrats and people with pronouns in their bio. I like it. I think it's a good deal. Right here, 2023, Gavin Newsom laughs off parental concerns of their children being able to change their gender identities at school without parents being notified.
Why should parents not know if their kids are transitioning at school?
It's a hell of a thing. You're talking about 1% of the population. Climate change, its impact 100% of the population wasn't even brought up. And we're talking about trans issues.
Here in California, this is an issue for you.
It's a big issue for parents. This is a front and center issue. It's the great, this is one of the greatest distractions. And it's classic. 1% of the population in the United States. These kids just want to live. These kids just want to live. And we're having a debate about trans issues at the Reagan Library. It's not to be ashamed.
Evil. Like Gavin Newsom is evil. I mean, absolutely. How can you look at this man, listen to this man, look at his mannerisms, look at the way he carries himself? He truly is Patrick Bateman. He truly is American Psycho. All right, breaking. The FBI is investigating the Minneapolis Catholic school shooting as an act of domestic terrorism and a hate crime targeting Catholics, per Director Kash Patel. The FBI is calling it what it is, terrorism against Catholics. You know what, Kash? You know what? I respect that. Hell yeah. Let's freaking go. You know what, Kash? We've had a lot of criticisms against you. Rare dub for Kash, but you know what? We're bringing it back.
Hey,
to you. If you get long-term payments but you need cash now, call J.G. Wentworth, 877 cash now. 877 cash now. 877 cash now. 877 cash now.
There we go. So Kash Patel, if you keep it up, we'll play that clip. And I know that's on his mind. He's really worried. He's like, they don't play my clip on CobraCast anymore. Well, if you keep doing stuff like this, Kash, we'll play the clip more often. Okay? We'll play the clip a little more often. So we'll see. That's a good development, though. All right. Yep. More people are talking about it now. The media will now be forced to report on the fact that it was targeted. FBI is officially investigating the shooting as an act of domestic terrorism and hate crime targeting Catholics, according to Kash Patel. The media will now be forced to promote this or forced to report on this as a targeted hate crime. Let's freaking go. You love to see it. Clip Fix, what's up? Cliff says, how about no gun sales for any trans person from now on? I like that idea. I like that idea a lot. Free Men Die Free says, remember, neither Dems or Republicans want school shootings to end because it gives both of them an opportunity to campaign fundraise. Solutions will never happen, and so as long as the two parties remain. I mean, I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, what's your solution to go libertarian and just lose for the rest of your life? At the end of the day, Trump is the answer. So I don't really understand that theory. Like lumping in Democrats and Republicans in this particular situation, I don't think there's any. Like, that is such a ridiculous take. Like, I'm not a fan of the Republican Party, generally speaking. I'm a fan of Trump's Republican Party. But to say like that sounds like a libertarian take, and libertarians are retarded. They just are. And they're perpetual losers who are only ever going to get 1-2% of the vote, who booed President Trump when he showed up to their convention. Libertarians are essentially the women of politics because they can't agree on anything, and all they do is fight and argue over everything and talk bad about each other from behind each other's backs. That's who libertarians are. So tell me I'm wrong. You know I'm not. Okay? Libertarians are just fucking, they basically are like mentally ill political people where I need an identity, and I can't be a Republican or a Democrat. So I am a libertarian and I stand for losing. That's it. Kako says, the same news media who pushed the vax will never admit it's the medication that put these mentally ill kids on until this will keep happening. Thank you for the 5. Slain Hope says, they will blame everything but themselves and will burn down the world to keep from being exposed. They are the ones radicalizing children and lunatics. APK says that shouldn't he start with Arkham City? Ramtack says, was Tim Walz friends with this school shooter? 1992 Space Movie says, because of your bravery, I have something to admit as well. Because of Pokemon, I have been throwing balls at animals, catch them. Sadly, it hasn't worked, but I have been chased by a bear. Oh man. See, I'm glad we're sharing. We're sharing important stuff with each other. Okay. It's a wonderful day. JB Spooky Review says these kids, let's see. The kids that got shot today wanted to live. Yeah, Gavin Newscomb. Exactly. Darian Murphy says, I just got here. Was the shooter trans? Yes. Yes. Very, very deranged. Andrew Sierra says Tim Walz was indeed friends with school shooters. His own words. His own words indeed. See, Chancey says, I live less than 10 miles from the shooting. My daughter's Catholic school will now have armed guards. Not happening in my community. We're armed. That's it, man. That's what I hope comes from this. Like, schools should all have armed security guards. They just should. I don't know how that's a controversial take, but all of these Hollywood elites, all of these leftist Hollywood elites, and all of these Democratic politicians, do you know what they have? Do you know what all of them have? Armed security with them everywhere they go. Everywhere they go, they have armed security. Why do they have armed security with them? It's amazing how that works, isn't it? All of these Democrats, all of these Hollywood elites, they all have armed security with them everywhere they go. Isn't that interesting? Always works out that way. So they're hypocrites? Absolutely. Massive hypocrites. Let's see. Got that one. Seeing if there's any updates. There's MT. Let's see. Marjorie Taylor Greene talking about it. Okay, we got the update from Kash Patel. Oh, Barack Hussein Obama has commented on it. I don't think anybody cares. So we're not gonna. I'm not even gonna share his thoughts, because fuck you, Barack Hussein Obama. You are one of the key pieces of all of the problems that we are dealing with right now. Matt Walsh is going ham right now on Twitter. Matt Walsh is going ham. This is from Matt Walsh. Every trans person is dangerously delusional. They are all mentally sick, and doctors who should be legally barred from affirming their mental illness in any way. Adult or child, everyone knows it. Now innocent children are dying because so many people were too cowardly to speak up. I mean, Matt Walsh is going ham. And again, I just say, follow me on Rumble. I don't know if because this video will remain up on Rumble. I don't know what's going to happen with this video on YouTube. I've been I've been flying pretty close to the sun for YouTube, so make sure you follow me on Rumble. I'm live on Rumble right now. Checking it out says, stop playing with nature. Men should not have estrogen introduced. Women, same with testosterone. No wonder these people are out of control. Yep. Shamefully true, Matt. It is true, indeed. Okay, I've got some stuff that I've got to deal with, and then I've got another stream tonight. I might do another Cobra Cast later tonight. And then we have the Mario Kart stream where I get indoctrinated over on the Geeks Gamers Play channel. I'm not streaming my perspective tonight because I'm traveling. But I do have a family issue that I have to look into. So for those that are curious, because the only reason I bring this up, I don't like sharing it, but I did talk about how I couldn't go live. And so, my mom had, major knee surgery. And so she's had to go back to the hospital. It's kind of routine, but she has gone back to the hospital because she had some bleeding in her knee. So I need to check in on that, see what's going on. So, but other than that, as long as I don't have any major distractions, I'll probably will be live again tonight. And then we have Mario Kart over on the Geeks Gamers Play channel. Ministry of Own Things says libertarians are Clark Kent's dad in Man of Steel, holding out their hand saying no to actually sensible government regulations. Free Men Die Free says, Uvalde proved armed security isn't a guarantee to protect kids. The 2A is useless without men of conviction and courage. I anticipate things to get much worse to motivate men to do what is needed. Well, listen, there is nothing in life that is 100% guaranteed, except for, death, taxes, and, gay people are gay. I mean, I don't, you can't look at one situation and say, well, because this one thing happened, it's not a good policy. You know what I mean? It is an overwhelmingly good policy to have armed security guards at schools. It is absolutely an overwhelmingly good policy. It doesn't mean that there won't be situations, but I'm just saying, like, don't take one instance and say, well, this isn't going to guarantee the protection of children. Nothing is going to protect anything from anything 100% of the time. But statistically speaking, putting armed security guards anywhere is going to deter criminals from going to those places. That's the bottom line on it. Let's see. Is it Sicario Berry? Thank you for the member message. I appreciate it. Okay. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. I do appreciate it. I hope you have a good evening. And again, follow me on Rumble because I don't know if this video is going to stay up. So we shall see. Have a good night, and we'll talk to all of you later. Bye, everyone.